city of Philly, where the birds take flight. Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Markus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. 9 guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing the heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing the heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.
What's up, good people? Y'all thought we was gone?
Hell
Y'all thought
no.
we left you? Just took a break.
It's a little one.
What's going on, my guy?
I'm doing well, man. Fresh off a little family vacation last week, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Recharged, refreshed, man. I had a busy week of content last week. Live streams, guests.
I saw you.
Clips.
I was locked in. I saw you.
Sports, just trying to keep the algorithm in full go, in full stretch. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to try different things. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. It's the off season. Now it's time to separate the real from the fake. Now it's time for the real content creators to get in their bag. You feel me?
It is Howie season, and they have come out the blocks swinging. You saw yesterday the news with Washington getting Deebo. Not quite as concerned about that as I would have been maybe 2-3 years ago, but that's still a good get. The Myles Garrett sweepstakes continues, and Philly's name continues to be on the hot seat in that regard. And we got to take care of Zach Bond and see who's next. I trust that Howie's going to keep Zach Bond in the building. I am of the belief that Milt Williams, Josh Sweat, or both of them will be gone. And then I think Mekhi Becton, even though he will have the opportunity to get his bag, I think he will elect to stay based on his history, based on his past in New York and what, how they treated him and stuff like that. He seems to me as a guy that would choose environment over anything else, because the right environment with a guy with his type of personality makes a big difference.
I
and
agree.
In New York, that was not the right environment. And he said it on many occasions. You saw how emotional he was when we made the playoffs. We hadn't even done anything. We just made the playoffs, man. So
right, we're winning the division, right?
Yeah. So he's somebody that would choose the culture over the bag. So I'm thinking we'll get him on some type of quote unquote hometown discount. And then we just trying to reload, man. We ain't trying to remake. We ain't trying to repair. We just trying to reload.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. You said something really interesting that stood out to me, right? The Deebo Samuel move by the Washington Commanders. I have a live stream later on with my guy Philly 500. We're going to tap into a lot of different things that a lot of people are trying to do to quote unquote keep up with the Eagles or try to take out the reigning champs. But that's pretty much where the Philadelphia Eagles stand, right? You're going to see a lot of people take their best shot at you. You're going to see a lot of teams try to either replicate what you've done or try to build something that can offset what you've done. A lot of Commanders trading for Deebo Samuel. I would say that move is maybe about a day late and $1 short. They did get him for value, though. I will say the reward far outweighs the risk. They only traded a 5th round pick for him. And if you can get a healthy Deebo Samuel all year long, that's going to be a huge boost to the receiver core. It's going to be a huge boost to their overall offense over there in Washington. If you pair him with Terry McLaurin, and if Zach Ertz can manage to stay healthy like he did all last year, with Jaden Daniels assumingly taking the next step as his career progresses, that's going to be a really, really interesting offense to look out for if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. But regardless, though, the reality is Deebo Samuel has battled injuries over the past few years, the past couple seasons. He's dealt with some nagging injuries, hasn't really been able to stay healthy. One of the things that stood out to me about his game over the past couple years is his lack of route creativity. After the catch, he's a beast. After the catch, he's a beast. But the problem is he's been dropping catches. His route discipline hasn't been there. At some point, he's been a turbulent force in locker rooms when things haven't really gone his way or whenever he's faced some sort of adversity. So, again, I'm curious to see what a change of scenery does for a guy like Deebo Samuel. Again, very talented brother, but when it comes to being a pure wide receiver, I never looked at him as somebody who was in the top 10. When it comes to being a weapon, though, he's definitely been one of the top 10 weapons in football throughout the duration of his career. And we'll see what the Commanders and Cliff Kingsbury have in store for a guy like Deebo Samuel. We saw that they like to throw a lot of screens. They do a lot of jet sweeps. They like to throw a lot of short passes to try to get the ball in their playmakers' hands as quickly as possible, right? But I think that plays right into what the Philadelphia Eagles do well. The Philadelphia Eagles are prone. They've shown over the course of the season that even if they can't get pressure, they're one of the most efficient defenses in football, and they're one of the best defenses, if not the best defense, when it comes to defending the short passes, such as bubble screens and so on and so forth. You saw it in the Super Bowl, you saw it in the NFC, you saw it in the NFC Championship, you saw it all season long. So again, whatever you think Deebo does well or what he will do well for the Commanders, best believe the Philadelphia Eagles have an answer for that.
Yeah, what happens to Austin Eckler? Because that's basically his spot. So I don't know what his contract situation is, but now you got Austin Eckler, Robinson, and Deebo back there. So just with that, I would think that they would put Deebo as a slot receiver. And Eckler can still, they can still do the two running back thing out of the backfield. So that leaves them with some interesting options. But on paper and on field is two totally different things. So we'll see how that all shakes out.
And on top of that, they are picking up, I believe, his $22 million salary, something like that. They're picking up a lot of that money, hence why they got him for so cheap. And, the 49ers knew that they really didn't want to move on with him. So they were kind of in a situation like kind of where the Rams are with Cooper Kupp. The Rams know that they want to move on, but they want to try to get something for him. But teams know that you're going to have to cut him. So their mindset is, why give you something where I could just be patient and then take my chances on the open market and probably get them for cheaper? So the 49ers didn't want to get caught in that situation. They wanted to move over from Deebo as soon as possible, and they pretty much took whatever the best deal they can get for him, and that's a 5th-round pick. And again, we'll see how things turn out. We'll see how it affects their overall mode of operations. What's interesting is, I believe between Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and Deebo Samuel, I think the cap hit between those guys is like $61 million or something like that. Yeah. And between Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, I think it's $66 million. Am I off when I say that? Am I adding in one more person too many, or?
No, that sounds about right. I don't know the exact numbers, but at the end of the day, they got money to play with. They did get the raise in the cap this year, so that bumped everybody up about $19 million. So, this is how he sees it, man. This is what he does best. He can juggle these contracts, juggle these draft picks. I would be very surprised if we end up picking at 32. He gonna wheel and deal to get his moving on up. I got a feeling that we might lose one of them young secondary pieces like Sidney Brown or somebody like that, or Eli Ricks.
You mean in the trade package?
Yeah, in the trade package. I got a feeling that I think Bryce Huff is out of here. I think he's part of a trade package, and possibly Jalen Hunt. Jalen Hunt paid dividends, and he looked like a steal coming from a 1AA school. So he shows some good promise, and that looks good on the stat sheet, and his price will be cheap. So he's good trade bait too. I would not want to see him go. I would rather keep him, but we'll see what's going to happen. It's going to be very interesting the closer we get to the draft. I've been watching the combine. At this point, I look at the combine like, what's the point?
Yo,
you know what I mean?
It's funny you said that, because, and I definitely want to address some of the things you said prior to, but we're going to have plenty of time to do so. But to your point about the combine, I was watching it, or Thursday and Friday. I didn't get a chance to really lock in on Saturday. I may watch a little bit today, but I was sitting there watching it, and there was a moment where I attempted to try to use it as an opportunity to get familiar with a lot of these prospects.
Yeah.
And you see names, all that kind of stuff, but ultimately I found myself taking notes, and I'm like, what am I taking notes on, really?
Yeah. What's the point?
What am I doing except just writing guys' names down? What am I doing?
Exactly. The only purpose, in my opinion, is you want to see the 40, right? Everybody wants to see is the basic skills, the 40, the 3-cone drill, the bench press, the vertical leap and the long jump, the standing broad jump, right? Then you kind of mix and match. The I don't know what they call it, like the figure 8 thing where the guys run around the circle and pick up the sock.
I think that's valuable.
Yeah, that's a good drill. When the running backs are running, hopping over the dummies on the floor, take that out. Let the running backs run a pass pattern and catch the ball in space. You can keep that. Everything that the quarterbacks and the wide receivers do, keep that, because that is that's what you want to see. You want to see. No, they're not going to throw a long ball, but what you want to do is see if a quarterback can throw to a guy that he doesn't know and still put the ball where it needs to be. You don't know his speed. You're not comfortable with him. So the quarterbacks and the receivers are good like that. The running backs is just okay. Even when they do like that gauntlet drill, running down the line and catching balls from both sides,
right?
I'm like, okay. I want to see how fast they go down the line and how tight they stay to that line. I don't need to see that, because when they on the field, you're going to have to move, and you're going to have to, are they running a rub route? Is the zone smaller than it should be? Is somebody breaking off a coverage and maybe you need to drift behind them? There's too many things that happen in the game to have those black and white drills go off. And like most of that stuff, you're looking at it and it's like, that's a waste of time. That's a really waste of time. The D line and the O line, you can get a little bit more out of it, because you can see their quickness. You see D line and O line. You don't give a damn about their 40. You give a damn about their 10-yard split.
I was just about to say that. When it comes to D line, I care about 10-yard split. I don't care about nothing else, because they're operating in a short box in general.
Exactly.
I care about that 10-yard split, which is going to tell me get off that burst, how quickly can you get from point A to point B in a short amount of time, or how quickly can you get from a 10-yard distance in a short amount of time, right?
Exactly.
There is, I will say this though, out of all the position groups I've seen thus far, I've enjoyed watching the defensive backs, because to me at least, what they do what they do with the cones and on the field and things of that nature, right? Obviously, like you said, the 40 and all that kind of stuff is valuable. But what I enjoy watching them is seeing them do the on-field drills, because at least to me, I'm able to see how quickly they can sink those hips, turn those hips, get in and out of phase, track the ball, things of that nature, right? I think that still has value.
Absolutely. I think it does get a little bit watered down when they got them running and then they tell them to look at the ball. But to me, that is practical. That's practical practice. I like to see the defensive ends, because especially after we saw what Nolan Smith did this year, like you said, to get off that first 10 yards, that explosion, that first 10 yards tells me how quickly an athlete can accelerate. So, you getting all these guys running these 4.3s, these low 4.3s. Most of them were DBs. He had a couple of running backs in there. The DBs is where that fast, that turnover time. And you saw with Quinyon and when they were showing a lot of film on Travis Hunter, man, that closing speed is what you need for DBs. That closing speed, when they turn that head around, locate the ball. Now, Deion Sanders was a master of this because he was so fast. And also, people forget, Deion was ridiculously fast. And Deion is what, 6'2"? 6'3" or something like that. Deion was tall, had long arms. So that closing speed makes all the difference in the world, man. I totally forgot Quinyon ran a sub 4.4. Quinyon was like a 4.37.
Yeah.
So Quinyon was a 4.37. I think I can't remember if it was Keely Ringo or Eli Ricks. I think it was Keely Ringo. Keely Ringo was a 4-3 guy too. So we have a lot of speed in our secondary.
A lot of
And that's the
athleticism,
type
man.
of stuff that makes a difference. You saw what Quinyon did. You saw what Coop did. And now they got another year under their belt, knowing how to play the position, knowing what they can do and what not to do. So, but back to the combine, man, it's some of the stuff is just for fluff, because they got to fill time, and I hope they really dial it back on some of the stuff that they're doing, because a lot of that stuff is unnecessary. You know what I mean? And I was looking at Mina Kimes gave a comment. She took a picture at the combine, but she was like, missed all the workouts. Hopefully the tape speaks for itself. And I'm like, exactly. Exactly. All these guys are going to go up and down the charts. But ultimately it comes down to, did you watch his tape? What did if he ran a 4.3 at the combine, what did he look like on the field? If that defensive end, what's that dude's name? I forget what his name is. The dude ran a 4.37, or is it a 4? He ran a low 4.4, I believe, at defensive end. And I was like, this dude is ridiculous. But what did he look like on tape? So, again, using Nolan Smith as an example, that first year, Nolan Smith was still lean, still very fast, but not being heavy enough. His body couldn't take the damage because his shoulder was popping out every other week.
Right.
This year, he was more durable, at least all the way up to the first half of the Super Bowl, and then he played the second half with a bum shoulder, and still paid dividends. So I look at stuff like that, man. How can that stuff be applicable in the game in real time? I want to see how does that translate? And it doesn't always translate the same. Lucky for us, we've had guys where that speed, that power, that get off translated 1-to-1 at the NFL level.
Yeah, you mentioned guys like Quinyon and Keely, right? Quinyon ended up running a 4.33, and
That's
Keely
fast,
Keely ran like a 4.37, 4.36, something like that. So,
dude, sub 4.4 is ridiculous, bro.
Exactly, and what doesn't get talked about enough? It's funny. A lot of these, what the Eagles have done. A lot of these teams are trying to replicate. Like I said, they're trying to find their Quinyon and Cooper DeJean in the draft. They're trying to find those two draft picks that can make an impact early. It's rare when you have those situations, let alone one comes from Toledo and one comes from Iowa, right? But Quinyon, long arms, bigger body, right? Very physical, but has that speed, that ranginess to keep up with anybody. Keely Ringo, I'm really curious to see what the next step is for him in his career, because has the speed, has the athleticism you like, has the length you like. I think the technique just has to sharpen a little bit. He was a little bit raw at the time. He's gotten 2 years under his belt. It's going to be interesting to see how he competes going forward, depending on what the Eagles do at that position. If Slade comes back, if they bring back Isaiah Rodgers and have him and Ringo compete, we'll never know. But you're right. The bottom line is, when it comes to this combine, certain things have become obsolete. They become useless.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are opting out of the combine because they look at it from the perspective of, I played all this football. What the hell am I running circles for on somebody else's turf and potentially hurt myself? Some of these guys already had to sit down because of a hamstring tweak, or they did this or they did that. So I mean, look, I understand the lesser prospects, right? Guys who are probably going to be mid to late round picks. You want to do the combine. You want to do anything possible to up your value. You want to do anything to give a team something good to latch onto your name. But if you're like guys who are guaranteed to go on those, for guys pretty much guaranteed to go in the first round, even if you're guaranteed to go top 50, you may ask yourself, what can I really gain from this combine? What can I really gain? So again, I think it is going to be interesting to see what the NFL does going forward with the combine, because the last thing you want is for the combine to become obsolete like the Pro Bowl. That's the last.
They just got to streamline it.
Yeah, they just got to take away some of that stuff that's useless. Trim the fat, basically.
Yeah, or put something different in there. Put something a little bit better. I don't need to see 20 minutes of running backs, doing, get your high knees over the dummies. Like, that's the stuff we do in Little League. And I understand what it's there for, but I don't need to see that. That's what the tape is for. Do like put something else in there that's a little bit more applicable to what you see on the field, because some of the stuff I'm like, come on, man. Like next, keep it moving.
I feel you on that.
But they making money off of it now, because you
For
see
sure.
they had David Spade on there. I was like, what the hell David Spade got to do with the NFL Combine? Promoting the podcast and stuff like that. And I'm like, come on now.
The
Like,
NFL is big, Marcus. Don't
I
you
know.
dare play simple, my friend. The NFL is big business, man. The NFL was a 365-day conglomerate. They found a way. They found a way to monopolize your time, but much better than basketball can.
Yeah. I wonder how much them commercials cost.
Exactly. 365 days a year. Soon as the season ends, you got people talking about the combine, free agency, the draft, the schedule release, mandatory minicamp, OTAs, picking up fifth-year options, like training camp. Like the NFL was a 365-day-a-year job. There's so much content out there if you know what you're doing. That's why I said to you earlier, this is the time where the real separate from the fake. So much more to discuss, so much more to get into, so much more to peel the layers back on. And I'm really excited to see where the show goes, where today's show goes, because you mentioned something earlier. You mentioned how there's a chance how we could be gearing up for a big swing, and we need to be on the lookout, or at least prepare ourselves for a potential, the potential loss of other guys, such as Sidney Brown, Jalen Hunt, or Eli Ricks. Or even Achille Ringo, right? Just guys, the young guys that have some kind of value to some kind of team. I'll be honest with you. Excuse me. I'll be honest. I don't want to lose Jalen Hunt, right? As much as I love Sidney, I could probably wrap my mind around that one better. But the Jalen Hunt one, I feel like that move would hurt you more than anything, because this offseason, you're likely going to lose Josh Sweat. And again, you guys, I don't want to lose Sidney Brown. I like Sidney Brown a lot. I want him on his team. I really, really do. But if you had to ask me who would I rather keep, Jalen Hunt or Sidney Brown, I would much rather keep Jalen Hunt. And by the way, you guys, we are seeing your messages, but we are trying to run a show here. So just be patient. Nonetheless, I would much rather keep Jalen Hunt than Sidney Brown. That's just where I'm at with that, because Jalen Hunt plays a much more higher value position than Sidney Brown does.
I agree.
And I feel like, honestly, what the Philadelphia Eagles have shown an ability to do, at least over the past couple of years, is find some pretty good depth pieces in the secondary, right? Eli Ricks, Tristan McCullum, Reed Blankenship, who was an undrafted guy who they turned into a starter, who earned his way into a starter, excuse me. You brought back CJ GJ, you drafted Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, guys like that. So Jalen Hunt, what he showed me in the second half of that season when BG went down, is almost invaluable to me. I love his measurables. I love his athleticism. I love his desire to get better. I love his versatility, a guy who was a former DB turned edge rusher. So that tells me that he has a commitment to his body. He has a commitment to getting better and learning. I feel like he hasn't even scratched the surface of what he can be. And we saw what he was able to do in that Super Bowl. I mean, he was beating out Bryce Huff for snaps.
Yeah.
A rookie was beating out a guy that was making $17 million a year. He was beating him out for snaps. And again, BG's going to retire. That's pretty much a foregone conclusion. BG's going to retire. You're likely going to lose Josh Sweat. So that's two bodies you lose on the edge. That leaves Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff, and 9 times out of 10 you trade him. I just don't think it. I don't see the Philadelphia Eagles moving on from Jalen Hunt, a guy with that much upside and that much athleticism at the position.
Nah, I agree with you 100%, man. Jalen Hunt paid dividends. We still got Ojomo back there. Bill Williams is about to get his bag. He earned it. Josh Sweat is about to get his bag. He earned it. Josh Sweat already gave us the hometown discount. So I'm not faulting nobody for going to get their money. Josh Sweat gambled and won. He gave the hometown discount, got a Super Bowl ring, and played enough to get his real payday. So I'm like, Josh Sweat, go get your money, man. You did the damn thing.
He gambled for
You know what
sure,
I mean?
and he trusted the Eagles, right? They said,
Absolutely.
listen, we'll give you $10 million on the arm. You come back for us, we'll make it worth your while.
Right.
And he has a chance. He has a chance to probably get between. I say Sweat can probably get between. What was his last contract? I want to make sure I don't shortchange him. Let me see how much he's making on his last contract. The one before he signed the 1-year deal. I'm looking at it right now. Okay, so Josh Sweat contract history. Okay, he signed a 3-year, $40 million contract in 2021. That was an average salary of $13.3 million. I think Josh Sweat has earned himself a contract at least between 16.5 to 19.5, maybe 20.
Right, and that's going to go. That'll fluctuate because it all depends on what they sign.
His age matters too. His age matters.
Well, yeah, but my point is it all depends on what his signing bonus is going to be, because it'll be, a team if their financial situation is right, will give him a huge signing bonus with a minimal contract, but he gonna take that money to the bank, so he'd be up for it. So there's different ways to do that, but at the end of the day, he earned it. He earned his bag, and I kind of feel bad and a little bit conflicted because that's what Hassan Reddick should have done. That is exactly what Hassan Reddick should have done. So can you imagine if we would have had, Nolan Smith doing what he's doing and Hassan Reddick on the other side and Zach Bond was in the back plus Jalen Carter? Dude, that would have been ridiculous. And what Milt Williams was doing?
Yeah.
But
I think to your point, I understand where you're coming from in terms of just that pass rush ability, right? Just how lethal it would have been. But my mind goes beyond just the pass rush when I think about Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. I know Hassan Reddick is a better pass rusher, but I think Josh Sweat is a better all-around guy at the position. The length, the size, I think he's better in run defense, which I think a lot of people don't put enough stock in when it comes to Josh Sweat. My man S. Blunt here, our guy S. Blunt, he did have a few weeks where his production did go down a little bit. But regardless, though, Josh Sweat had 8 sacks in 2024. He was way more efficient. He played less snaps. He did what he did in the Super Bowl. He did go a little cold throughout the playoffs, wild card round, divisional, NFC championship. He did go a little cold from a pass rush perspective. But from a run defense perspective, setting the edge is very important in this league.
absolutely.
These quarterbacks are faster. These running backs are more dynamic. These teams are running these bubble screens and these jet sweeps now. They're getting more creative behind the line of scrimmage and getting the balls in their playmakers' hands quickly. Being able to set the edge as an edge rusher is very important. And, I think Josh Sweat, although he maybe doesn't have the 15, 14 sack year that a lot of us would like to see him have, which would definitely help him in negotiations, I think him having the season he did, the 8 sacks on 622 defensive snaps, 60% of the snaps played, doing what he did in the playoffs in a big moment in a big game, how lethal he was, how dominant he was, and the ability to set the edge, his measurables, and 27, he's at a sweet spot. He could probably get a nice 3-year deal for somebody.
Absolutely. And it's so funny how even with the success of Jalen Hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still got that contingency on the other side that are just dead set, 10 toes down, absolutely set against having somebody throw the ball 40 times a game. So even though Jalen Hurts has shown a different way, a different avenue, you got people. I saw the thing the other day that said, I think it was Adam Schefter that said Matt Stafford was one play away from beating the Eagles. I was like, no, the hell he wasn't.
No. When I saw that, I don't know if you saw my retweet. When I saw that, I said, no team has ever one play from doing anything.
Man, stop playing.
It's the NFL. No team has ever one play from doing anything. This is so much happens in the duration of a football game that leads to a result. Okay, he was not one play from doing anything.
Not even close.
Right.
Not even close, man. But go ahead. But that narrative still exists. They still want to elevate the dude that throws for 5,000 yards and 40 times a game. And I'm just like, I always go back to that. I'm gonna keep going back to that stat, man. It was 45,000 yards on the bench at home on the couch, watching from Cancun. And then if even if you were a Kansas City fan, look at how Kansas City won in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes didn't have no crazy games. He was running the ball.
Yeah.
Josh Allen was running the ball. When Josh Allen beat Baltimore, Josh Allen had 140 yards passing or something like that. So the aspect of being able to move the ball on the ground as a QB, can your quarterback do that? But everybody still wants to have somebody throw for 1,000,000 yards and 1,000,000 attempts. And the reason why I'm saying that is going back to what we were just talking about, having somebody on that edge that can get to the passer. So as long as you still have people that can do that, there will always be a place for people like Hassan, people like Sweat, Jalen Hunt, that the speed of Nolan Smith. I don't think, even though we see it every day, Nolan Smith does not get enough credit for running that damn 4.47 at the combine because it manifested in 1-to-1 on the field. He was that fast. And that's his second year. He got a lot stronger, and you could tell because he was like a missile, stopping those, pulling guards and pulling tackles and just initiating the contact, beating the offensive lineman to his spot. So sometimes you get players that can beat the laws of physics. And Nolan Smith figured out how to do that. If you got a pulling guard or a pulling tackle, there's a spot that he's trying to get to. And if you're in that spot, that offensive lineman is going to blow your ass up. But if you can beat him to the spot or get one step in front of it, he ain't ready. He ain't ready to take the blow. And that's exactly what Nolan Smith was doing. And he snapped a lot of heads back from them tackles and them pulling guards. It was impressive.
One of the most impressive ones for Nolan Smith, maybe the most impressive in my opinion, opening playoff game.
Yes,
wild
exactly
card
what
weekend.
you're talking about.
What he did to was it
Baldy
Elgin?
broke it down on his channel.
Was it Elgin? What's his name? Elgin. Who was that? Who was that guy? Nolan Smith.
Baldy talked about it on his channel, man. He just snapped that dude's head back, put his helmet right in his chest.
I need to find out who that was because he popped him. He ran into his chest. So Elgin Jenkins. Thank you, Young Ghost. Thank you, Young Ghost. Elgin Jenkins.
Packers. Yeah.
Yes, on the Packers. Wild card round. Literally. He looped around. Elgin pulled. He was attempting to block. Nolan ran through his chest so damn hard, damn fast. He put him out for the game. He was done for the game. He didn't come back. He popped him right in his chest. Whatever he did to his shoulder or whatever it was, he was no more good after that. No more good after that. You said something about Nolan's speed, right? I want to bring it to the Super Bowl, right? And not just Nolan's speed. And this goes to your point about having guys that can not only set the edge, but guys that can run down the quarterback with that speed and things showing, right? Especially when you see it in the combine and the translating, right? You saw in that Super Bowl the vast difference in speed from the Philadelphia Eagles in comparison to what the Chiefs have been facing all year long, right? The Chiefs have been on borrowed time when it came to the offensive line all year. And they've been trying to piecemeal it, moving Joe Thuney from left guard to left tackle. They were trying to get creative with it, right? But one thing Jeff Stoutland is firmly against, he doesn't believe in sacrificing two positions to save one.
Right.
And that's what the Chiefs did. Instead of leaving Joe Thuney at left guard and doubling down on whoever they had and really trying to get better at that position and really trying to let him take his lumps early, they say, you know what? We're going to move Joe. They got desperate and they panicked. In the second half of the season, they moved Thuney to left tackle. But I digress. The point is, you saw the speed that guys like Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Josh Sweat, Well, you saw their uniqueness in their speed when they were able to chase down Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl. It seemed to me that even though he had his moments where he got out of the pocket, he really couldn't make it happen because, for one, they squeezed him so tight, and they also cut off his rush lanes.
Yep.
And so that was the first thing. But
That's the key right there.
But whenever he did get out of the pocket, perfect example when he threw the pick six to Coop. I can't remember who it was, but he was getting chased down. And
well, I thought
and there was another one, by the way. Somebody chased him.
I think that was a different play because the one he threw to Coop, I thought he had a clean pocket. I didn't think he had to break out. I thought the pocket was solid up.
Okay.
He could have stood there. But I think, we was in his head. We had space in his head, and he got the hell up out of there. Because I thought the pocket was clean. He did not have to roll to his right, but he did. And he just lost sight of Coop. And he just kind of threw it to the wrong person. He took it to the house.
There was a third down play, I think, on their first drive, if I'm not mistaken. He got chased down, and I don't know if it was Sweat or whoever, but he tried to throw, but they almost got him for a safety, but he managed to just get out in time.
Yeah, he did one of the backyard throws.
Yeah, and they were able to tackle him low or whatever it may be. But like you just saw the speed in which they got to him. That was something I feel like Patrick Mahomes didn't really have to battle all year long, and he was shell shocked.
Yeah, he was.
But again, I think this is going to be a really good. This is a very unique offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman spoke about it, at length about how unique this offseason is going to be for them because of how many contributors that they're going to have to potentially part ways from. I know you mentioned Mekhi Becton earlier, right? There's a chance they may be able to get him back at a reasonable price. And I think they do want to get him back because of the uniqueness he brings at the guard position and how they've developed him into a guard, and they believe he's probably still scratching the surface of what he can do at that position. And I also think, although he will be a free agent, I also think that whoever does try to sign him outside of us, I don't know where their confidence level is with him at guard. And then on top of that, let's just say whoever signs him tries to move him back to tackle. Now you're trying to sign him based off of something he didn't earn his bones at. If you get where I'm going, right?
Right.
So teams who are potentially looking at him are in a precarious position. Do I have the infrastructure to continue to do I have the infrastructure to continue to develop Mekhi Becton at guard, one, and two, if I don't want him at guard and I want him at tackle, am I actually purchasing exactly what I need or what I want? Right? You don't want to have buyer's remorse. A guy sold you at guard, but you're trying to move him to tackle. That's not that's not what you should do in that situation. I think the Eagles have leverage in the Mekhi Becton sweepstakes.
Well, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of he's in the same spot like Landon Dickerson, right?
Okay,
when
break that down.
When Beef Jurgens got hurt, when Cam Jurgens got hurt, Landon Dickerson stepped right in. Struggled a little bit because he hadn't played center in a while.
Right, he started that game, yeah.
But ultimately, we handle business, right?
Okay.
What better way? Who's Lane Johnson's backup?
Well, it was
Mekhi Becton would be the perfect backup for Lane Johnson. Then you put Tyler Steen at guard.
So you're saying, okay, I see where you're going with this now. Hypothetically speaking, Lane Johnson goes down for a week or two, whatever it may be. You have Mekhi Becton, who is your guard. He can potentially swing out to right tackle. You trust Tyler Steen at guard.
Tyler Steen did all right in my book.
No, yeah. I like
he
Tyler
wasn't a world
Steen.
beater, but he was a plug. He was the cork. You're not going. All you need to do is just stop the leaking. Eventually, you're gonna get somebody else in there. But once again, this is where I pull my hands back and I say, this is where Jeff Stoutland is Jeff Stoutland. He gets the most out of everybody he coaches. Tyler Steen, when he got in there and had to play, we didn't hear his name once.
That's a
And
good
when
point.
you are offensive lineman, that means you doing what you're supposed to do. The only time they talk about offensive lineman is if you give up a sack or you hold it. We
Yeah.
didn't hear his name one time.
Yeah, Tyler Steen was actually in on that play where Saquon took it to the house, first play.
Yes.
He was in that play. I think the Eagles really see the Eagles are again. This goes back to my point about the unique offseason they face, right? Because you're losing Mekhi Becton is a free agent, Milton Williams is a free agent, Josh Sweat and Zach Bond, right? If you want to throw Isaiah Rodgers in there, cool. If you want to throw Fred Johnson, the tackle in there, cool. Jack Driscoll, you want to throw him in there, cool, right? The Eagles have about 3 or 4 offensive linemen who have helped them hitting free agency. This may be a chance for Fred Johnson to get some money for himself because he has shown some plays here and there to be able to fill in. This could be an opportunity for, Tyler Steen to potentially earn the starting right guard spot if they don't bring back Mekhi Becton. This is such a fascinating season because, okay, you bring back Mekhi Becton. Let's play a hypothetical game a little bit. You bring back Mekhi Becton, right? So your offensive line is as it was last year. Melada, Dickerson, Jurgens, Becton, Lane. Now, you still have Trevor Keegan on the roster from Michigan, the rookie from last year. You still have Trevor Keegan, but he's more so a left guard than a right guard. But I think if you're in Stoutland University, you're being cross-trained to be able to do both.
There you go.
You're being cross-trained to be able to do both. Now that begs the question: are they comfortable moving on from Becton, elevating Tyler Steen to that starting right guard spot, and letting Trevor Keegan assume the role that Tyler Steen was in 2024, or were they so in love with what Mekhi Becton did that they want to bring him back and they still believe Tyler Steen is their perfect swing guard? But that begs the question: when does Trevor Keegan get his shot? When does Trevor Keegan get his opportunity to get some grass time? They have some decisions to make when it comes to the interior, for one. And then just getting to the outside, right? Jack Driscoll has been somebody who's been able to play the tackle spot if Lane Johnson got hurt, right? Hasn't been perfect, but he stepped in. He battled injury last year. Jack Driscoll's also been somebody who could play that guard spot for you, right? Fred Johnson's been somebody who could play that tackle spot, depending on if you may need it. So, again, what's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles' trajectory in terms of reloading on the offensive line? They always leave this draft with at least 2 offensive linemen. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
But do they try to bring back Fred Johnson on a cheap deal? Do they try to bring back Jack Driscoll on a cheap deal, right, and let him get healthy? What's going to be their answer for the offensive line as a whole? But more importantly, what's going to be their answer for that interior? Because I think they have some decisions to make, and they have developed some guys, and I think they have talent that they can fall back on in Tyler Steen and Trevor Keegan if they don't want to bring back Becton.
I think Becton is going to be the key because to me, Becton is like Zach Bond. Nobody, and I mean nobody, if they say otherwise, they lying to you. Nobody ever thought Zach Bond would be this good. Nobody ever thought Mekhi Becton would be this good. Them folks up in New York was laughing at us when we got Mekhi Becton. That dude sucks. He's a first-round bust. Oh, you saw what happened? It's amazing what happens when you get a good coach. Coaching matters. Mm-hmm. So Mekhi Becton is the offensive version of Zach Bond. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody expected that level of play from him. Nobody. And unlike Zach Bond, in my opinion, Mekhi Becton might choose the culture over the bag. So I think Zach Bond, you got to pay him. He was that good
because he experienced so much in New York.
Exactly.
He may choose culture, and again, the first organization that really was able to keep him healthy all year long.
Yeah, and he said that this is the first place where I've been where they actually believed in me. He said that.
That's value.
He is, and this is I'm taking this strictly from what I've seen, the news, the interviews, and things of that nature, and what I read from what happened to him in New York. I saw the press conferences when they were grilling him when he was still with the Jets, right? So to me, that tells me you have a big dude with a very gentle, very empathetic personality. He's just one of those dudes with that type of personality. He was one of them. To me, he looks like one of them big kids that used to get bullied in school because he just ain't. That's just not him. And if the environment is not right, he doesn't function right. And they put him to the test. There's a lot of people that says like, hey, you got to be able to handle anything in the league. And I'm like, I beg to differ. Everybody responds to different things in different ways.
Which goes back to your point about coaching. And also, I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm bullying somebody who like 6'6", 6'7". You know what I mean? I don't know if he was getting bullied, but he probably was somebody that was very subconscious about his game.
Well, no, you look at you know what example and I'm kind of going down left field.
He's a teddy bear a little bit. He's a big teddy bear, man.
I'm going down left field. I don't even know if you saw this. There was a viral video that came out years ago. And it was this big, chubby kid. And this dude just kept picking on him. And finally, that big kid picked that dude up and WWE his ass into the concrete. And you could tell this kid didn't want no problems. This kid probably couldn't fight. And this little boy just kept bullying him. And finally, that big boy picked him up and slammed him down. But I'm saying that Mekhi Becton looked like one of them big dudes like John Coffey. He don't want no smoke. He here to do his job, do what he got to do, and keep it moving.
It's the big
and
ticket.
Some people try to take advantage of that. You like the whole Richie Incognito and John Martin stuff came back to the forefront again. That's the same type of information. Just because you a big dude don't mean you going around bullying people. But there's people that do. And those personalities don't mix. I think the personalities in New York, the expectations they had for Mekhi Becton was a little bit different. And it just didn't mix. Because you can't tell me he ain't got talent. Y'all draft him in the first round. Stoutland just managed to get that talent out of him.
And he knew how to get through to the man. Forget the player. In order to get the most out of the player, you got to get through to the man first.
Exactly.
And let's not get it twisted, you guys. Mekhi Becton is only 25 years old.
25. What do I always say, Tone?
Years old.
You don't deal with people. You deal with personalities.
25 years old.
Young cat.
Just Stoutland is just scratching the surface of what he can be at guard.
That's why his potential. That's why if he really want to get the bag, he can get the bag.
Because if I'm so
young.
If I'm him, because offensive linemen, they play for a long time in the league. We know how that goes. If I'm him, me personally, if I'm him, and I know what I've experienced in Philadelphia is once in a lifetime, truly a generational run that they were on, and he was a part of a historic moment in Philadelphia. I would try to extend that as much as I can. I'm playing next to Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, and Jordan Mailata. There's no better situation in football. There's no better incubator for my talent and for my development. And I'm in Stoutland University. If I'm him, I take a 3-year deal. If I'm him, I take a 3-year deal, 2-year deal, continue to develop in this system. And then if you really decide to whack somebody, you're more better equipped to do so at that guard spot. Because again, I believe Stoutland he's just scratching the surface. If I'm Becton, I would take my coins now and then wait till I'm about 28, 29, whack him.
That's my point. If he does take a 3-year deal, he'll only be 28.
Only be 28.
And Jason Peters just retired at 53. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, it also, this does not get mentioned enough, if at all. Our offensive line is Hall of Fame now. People don't realize that. Our offensive line is Hall of Fame. You know why? Because this is the offensive line that produced the all-time leading rusher. Right?
You're right.
You got Saquon Barkley, the most yards from start to finish, from all the way through the playoffs to the Super Bowl. Now Saquon Barkley is one of one. He surpassed Terrell Davis. And so that offensive line, that offense is Hall of Fame. And his name goes in the books.
Yep. Stoutland get you paid, man.
Stoutland University, bro.
Stoutland got Andre Dillard paid.
Bruh, say it again, but louder.
Like you get me? Like, and Andre Dillard was a real soft guy. You know what I mean? My man crying in training camp. Like,
Man,
Stoutland gets you paid. So if I'm Mekhi Becton, I'm rolling with the Philadelphia Eagles for at least another 3 years. And even then, if you continue to do it, 9 times out of 10, Howie will still take care of you. Still take care of you because the Eagles believe in building in the trenches.
You know what they would do? This is what I think Howie should do. Get Mekhi Becton an above average contract. Whatever the average is, give him above that, but hit him up with the incentives. Every time he takes a sip of Gatorade on the sideline, he gets $5,000. Hit him up, but that's what they do. They can streamline the contract, give him an average contract, right? It's a good contract, but not nearly as much as he would make somewhere else. But put them incentives in there that make up the difference.
So the franchise tag for the offensive lineman in 2025 is not saying they're going to do this, but just to give you an average of, because the franchise tag is what, the average of the top 10 contracts.
Yeah,
I believe that's what it is, right? So yes, here it is. Okay, it says the value of the franchise tag is based on the top 5 salaries at each position, while the transition tag is calculated using the top 10 salaries at each position. So there's the franchise tag and the transition tag, right? So as of right now, the offensive line franchise tag is $23.4 million. Obviously, he's not getting that. So now that begs the question: what are guards getting? Right? What's the salary ranking for the average salaries for guards in the NFL? As of right now, Landon Dickerson is the highest paid guard. Well, Trey Smith is now because of the franchise tag. The Chiefs franchise tag Trey Smith at $23.4 million. So Landon Dickerson is now the second ranked highest paid guard in football at $21 million, right? So Landon Dickerson's getting 21, right? At least the highest paid guy that's actually on contract.
Right.
So Chris Lindstrom, $20.5 million. And I'm going down the list of the highest paid average salary. Quentin Nelson, $20 million. Robert Hunt, $20 million. Titus Howard, 18.6. Samuel Cosme, 18.5. Zach Martin, who just retired, was at 18.4. Quinn Manners, 18 million. Elgin Jenkins, the Nolan Smith killer, or who Nolan Smith killed, 17 million. Jonah Jackson, 17 million. Joe Tooney, 16 million. Joel Patino, 16 million. Kevin Dotson, 16 million. Wyatt Teller, 14.2. Damian Lewis, 13.2. And remind you, these are all guys who are proven guards. Guards.
Right.
Mekhi Becton's only delivered 1 year of this. Still developing at the position, which is the leverage I think the Eagles have in negotiations. Ben Powers, 12.8. Shaq Mason, 12 million. Stop me if you hear a number that you feel comfortable paying Mekhi. Cesar Ruiz, 11 million. John Ryan, 10 million. Alex Kappa, 8.75. And that's where the big drop-off happens, between 10 million and 8.75. John Ryan and Alex Kappa. Now we're at the 21st highest paid guard in football. Austin Corbett, 8.75 million. Ezra Cleveland, 8 million. Isaac Seumalo, 8 million. Let's stop there for a second at Isaac Seumalo, because he's a former Philadelphia Eagle. Mm-hmm. He signed his contract with the Steelers, I think, a couple years ago, right? He's making an average salary of 8 million. Let me ask you this:
8 million a year?
Are 8 million a year? Isaac Seumalo is making an average salary of 8 million per season. Average salary. Let's stay there for a second. That's ranked. That's tied for 23rd highest paid guard in football.
Right.
That begs the question for you: do you believe Mekhi Becton has a higher ceiling or can be better than Isaac Seumalo, or are you not comfortable paying him Isaac Seumalo money? That's $8 million a season.
With what we did this year, I think he could get 10 to 12 easily. Easily. Dude, he is part of a 2,000-yard rushing team that went to the Super Bowl and destroyed the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So, and I'm saying 10 to 12, there's a lot of people that would probably, because just the league tends to overpay. There's teams that would pay more. So it all depends on who's going to write the check.
Mm.
But I think I'm thinking 10 to 12. Let's say he gets 10 million, but gets, like I was saying, crazy incentives.
I'm thinking more 9 to 11.
Yeah.
Because again, there's that sweet spot between the 8.75 million and 10 million. Like there's a vacancy at the $9 million mark. So again, unproven. Well, he's proven technically for 1 year, right? But Zach Bond, only 1 year of sample size at the position. So that's the leverage these teams have, right? Can you multiply what you've done over the course of years, right? Based on what you did based off what you did in this 1 year. I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that happens in negotiations. Yeah. But if I'm the Eagles, if you can find a way to get Mekhi Becton on this roster for a contract between 9 to 11 million, maybe 3 over the course of 9 to 11 million salary. If you can find a way to keep it there, I think that's a win.
Absolutely. It all depends on how Howie shakes it out, because he's already said that it's going to look a little different.
He did say
that. But we are in a position legitimately where we can run it back. Saquon did not get hurt this year. Jalen did not get hurt. Well, concussion withstanding.
Concussion, I don't really.
You know what I mean? Lane Johnson, first time in 4 years? We haven't had the hamstring issue. So, for the most part, the injuries, we did pretty good this year.
Right. Most of the injuries this year happened on the interior.
Yeah, the interior, and then of course when we lost Jalen for that stretch, but we were good, man. Nolan Smith got hurt at the end, so we're not gonna see that. Jalen Hunt, he got banged up. Bryce Huff got banged up, broke his wrist, I think it was. I'm trying to Nakobe Dean. Slay was off and on, but every time Slay was on the field, he balled.
Yeah.
So, and maybe if you want to throw Bradbury in that number, but Bradbury didn't do nothing but sit at his locker and get a ring. I ain't mad at him. So,
another thing, my man Alex just brought up a very good point that we overlooked, or maybe we just didn't discuss yet. I think the first person to get extended that's already under contract is Cam Jurgens.
Oh yeah.
I think you can't go into this season with Cam Jurgens on a lame duck contract. I think that's one of Howie's priorities as well, because that can relieve some pressure on that cap too.
He's too important.
You gotta, his first year starting at center, he's a Pro Bowler. Yeah.
Who would have thought that we never would have said, man, I sure do miss Kelce. We never said that.
Oh man, that's funny.
Never said that.
Who would have thought? And it's what Cam Jurgens did this year. Again, he still has so much to accomplish, right? And one could argue that he's had a stronger start to his career than Jason Kelce has.
Absolutely.
So that begs the question: can he be as equally great, if not greater? Now, what Jason Kelce did, I think Jason Kelce was he was a 5th round, 6th round pick, something like that. He was drafted late, but he developed and then he took off, right? Multi-time All-Pro, multi-time Pro Bowler, future Hall of Famer, bar none. He solidified Super Bowl champion. It goes without saying, right? But for Cam Jurgens to have such a strong start, it's really exciting to see that, hey, this is a sign of things to come, for one. And for two, I don't put it past him for being able to have a career close to what Kelce has done.
Absolutely.
I'm not afraid to say that. No one's saying he is Kelce, but he's technically had a stronger start. It's a fact. That's a fact. Maybe you guys don't want to say that because you feel like it's blasphemous, but it's a fact. In year 3, he was a Pro Bowler. When was Jason Kelce first a Pro Bowler? Let me double check that before I put my foot in my mouth here.
You know what? While you're searching, you know why people never realized. You know why Jason Kelce was so good? Because Jason Kelce was a running back in high school.
Jason Kelce made his first Pro Bowl in year 4, right?
Yes.
And also, again, we gotta factor in age too. We gotta factor in age.
Was Stoutland here when Jason Kelce got here?
Howard Mudd was one of the reasons why Kelce was in Philadelphia. Howard Mudd. Okay, so here we go. Okay, Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens is currently 25. He was drafted at age 23. He became the starter at age 25, right? Jason Kelce, he was a starter in year 1. Then he got hurt in year 2. Came back as a starter in year 3. Then year 4, he made his first Pro Bowl, playing 12 games, starting 12 games. Made his first Pro Bowl in year 4 at age 27. Cam Jurgens made his first Pro Bowl in year 3 at age 25.
Mm-hmm.
At age 25, year 3, he's had he's had a stronger start to his career.
Stronger start.
But he's also had the luxury of learning behind a Hall of Famer. He didn't have to jump into the deep water so soon like Jason Kelce did. Jason Kelce was in a sink or swim situation.
Yeah, he had the learning curve.
So he had to get it. Whereas though Cam Jurgens had the luxury of being drafted into a winning culture, a winning organization, right? A Super Bowl caliber roster. He's been to 2 Super Bowls in 2 of his 3 years in the NFL. He's been blessed beyond belief in terms of his grooming process or his incubation process, right? He's been able to learn behind and next to some real talented dudes. So that definitely can fast track your development.
Absolutely. You taking direct instructions from Jason Kelce, the dude that hired you, had the opportunity to hire his replacement, and Jeff Stoutland. So you couldn't be in a better situation.
Right.
Jason scouted him and recruited him personally. And you don't see that in the league where a guy has so much pull in the organization where they come to him and say, I want you to find your replacement. And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. One of the things I was saying, I wanted to get this point out. The reason why Jason Kelce was so damn good was because Jason was a running back in high school. And he played hockey and lacrosse. So Jason knew how to move his feet. That's the key. When you're talking about guards and centers, you got to be able to move them feet. You got to be able to dance, man. And Jason Kelce was fast like a running back. Jason Kelce could have been a damn tight end if he really wanted to be. And you got the same thing with Cam Jurgens. You got that same mentality. You don't really hear much from him. We didn't really start hearing about Jason Kelce until he was pretty much at the end of his career. And he became the character and cracking beers down at the shore and all of that. This was the last 5 years when people started knowing who Kelce was, as far as his personality anyway.
Yeah. You're right. It wasn't until the Super Bowl season in 2017, the 2017-2018 season when he became a first-team All-Pro. And that wasn't until, let's make sure we got this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Year 7. He didn't make his first, he didn't make his first All-Pro team until year 7. And that's from year 7 on, his second half of his career is when he really took off. And here's the thing: offensive lineman is one of those position groups where you're not really going to see the best of that guy. It's rare, but you're not going to see the best of that guy until the second half of his career. They take so long to develop. You may have a unicorn that develops quickly, but for the most part, offensive linemen, they're not really at their best until 28, 29, something like that. That's the sweet spot for offensive linemen. Like other positions, you expect more sooner, and their talent is going to show sooner. But offensive linemen, in my opinion, Like, for perfect example, we haven't even seen the best of Jordan Mailata yet, in my opinion. We haven't seen the best of Rashawn Slater yet. We haven't seen the best of what's my man in Detroit? Penny Sewell yet. We haven't seen the best of Trey Smith yet. You know what I mean? In Kansas City. Like, these offensive line, we haven't seen the best of Mekhi Becton yet. We haven't seen the best of Cam Jurgens yet. We haven't seen Landon Dickerson at his best yet. We haven't.
We got time, we got youth, and we got money. So we good to go, bro. We are, and you do not see this often. You saw it with Kansas City, but ultimately you don't see it until you see it. Because when Kansas City went back to back after they won the first one, well, you talk about the back-to-back thing, but everybody knows how difficult it is to get there, right? But just looking at everything on paper, we are in a legitimate spot to make the run to go back-to-back. I don't see us not making the playoffs, barring any crazy injury. I don't see us not making the playoffs next year. You know, and we had the things bounce our way. Like, people don't understand that we were 1 inch away from this thing being a disaster. When Jalen Hurts gets tackled in the snow versus the Rams in that game, if his knee is 1 inch to the left or to the right, it's a different outcome. He's got a torn patella tendon or an ACL or an MCL or whatever, but he's out of there. And we dealing with Kenny Pickett, hoping for another, Nick Foles moment. But it didn't happen. He came back, put that knee brace on, and took it right off, and continued doing what he did, and everything fell in our favor. And when push came to shove, the defense showed up, which didn't happen in 22.
Yeah.
And we are in a prime position to run it back next year. Jalen's back. AJ's back. Devontae's back. Maybe we're going to draft another tight end in the draft. But we still got Dallas Goedert. He's 30, but he might be on the way out, but he'll be here for another year. Offensive line is set. Defensive line, we got the question marks. Who going to stay and who going to go, right? But Jomo ain't going nowhere. Jalen Carter is the key. So all you got to do is get somebody that can take up the attention so Jalen Carter can get his one-on-ones. That's the way this defense is going to operate for the foreseeable future. Get somebody to tie up the rest of that offensive line so Jalen Carter can do what he does best. Our linebackers are solid. If Nakobe comes back, that's great. I don't see no reason why he wouldn't. And we got the young gun with Trot Jr. coming up. And then our secondary is what our secondary is. Probably one of the best young secondaries in the league. We are good at every spot. Every spot.
What also doesn't get talked about enough, I know you mentioned Moro Ojomo. I want to throw Byron Young's name in there.
Yeah.
Because the Eagles traded for him with the Rams. They got him from the Rams, I believe, over the offseason. And he didn't play a snap last year.
Nope.
And obviously it was a pecking order. Carter,
yes.
Davis, and Milton, Moro Ojomo, Thomas Booker IV. It was a pecking order. He wasn't going to play, barring any kind of injuries. But you lose Milton Williams likely.
Yes.
Moro Ojomo right there in the rafters. You still got Thomas Booker IV. And then Byron Young. What's the next step in his development, right? Byron Young, they have him under contract for 2025 and 2026. So they have 2 years to find out what he is.
Yeah.
They have 2 years to find out what impact can he make. So the Philadelphia Eagles are in a bit of a better position than people think on the interior, defensively, that is. They do have to figure out what their long-term decision is going to be with Jordan Davis, because they are going to have to decide if they're picking up that fifth-year option this offseason. Yeah. They're going to have to decide. I'm not sure if they pick it up, to be honest with you. But
Jordan
also,
Davis?
I'm not entirely sure. That's one of the more difficult decisions, or one of the more difficult conversations I think needs to be had. I like Jordan Davis. I'm a Jordan Davis guy. I think he deserves more flowers than what he gets.
Agreed.
But I can definitely see the Philadelphia Eagles not picking up that option and then maybe signing him to a very frugal 3-year deal. Because remember that 5th-year option is a lot of money. That 5th-year option be what, between 15 and 20 million sometimes?
And he's a role player.
And he's a role player. They're not paying him. Then they're not going to pick up that 5th-year option and pay him that. They're going to decline that option. Probably pay him somewhere.
You think Howie going to break up the Bulldogs?
He's going to find a way to keep it together. But there's no way you're paying that 5th-year option for Jordan Davis. You're going to find a way to pay him at a way cheaper price tag than that. As a matter of fact, let me make sure I got this right here, because Jordan Davis, where is it?
Is Jordan Davis Myles Garrett bait? Would you throw him in if it was asked?
I don't know, man. Nah. I'm not doing it, because Jordan Davis takes up so much space, man.
He does, man.
Okay, so his 5th-year option here. Let me see what I got here. So let me see.
I'm seeing people in the chat like, yeah, Jordan Davis is. They throw him in the mix.
So this year his cap hit is $5.3 million. It's not saying exactly what his cap hit is in 2026, but the 5th-year option is available. I see a lot of people saying it's $12 million. Okay. 12 million. I'm sorry. I could probably get him cheaper than that.
Yeah.
I could probably get him cheaper than that. To your point, 12 million, if it's 12 million, if the 5th-year option is $12 million, I can get him cheaper than that. So I have no intention of picking up that option. I'm gonna pay him something way cheaper than that. Simple as that. Because he's a role player.
He's a role player.
And I wouldn't be surprised if
he had some big moments.
He had
some big moments, but ultimately you are correct. He is a role player.
He had big moments.
Yeah.
And I love him in run defense.
And he springs Jalen Carter, man.
He does, and his value is on 1st and 2nd down. His value is in run defense, especially. He does create a lot of space for the linebackers, for like Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond to shoot those gaps and everything like that. I totally understand it. And S. Blunt, you raised a very good question. Will he decide to better himself? He may not. But that's why Howie is the genius he is, because he gets in on these things early. He doesn't waste time. He hits you with a bag early, and 9 times out of 10, those young brothers sign. You know what I mean? This is the problem with the Cowboys. They wait too long to pay guys, and they wait till guys know better.
Exactly.
You feel me?
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? He waits until guys knows better, and that's the problem. Howard Roseman, he gets them when they're green a little bit around the get.
Yeah, get them early rather than get them late.
Exactly. So that is going to be something interesting to watch. But I do want to pick your brain about this, though. I want to pick your brain about what the Eagles do with that 32nd overall pick. Do they trade back?
I think by that time,
more draft capital. Do they trade up if they really want somebody? What do they do?
I'm going to predict that if Howie has not made a move by pick number 20, I can't say that though.
Howie's a hard person. He's a difficult guy. You know what I mean?
Because there's always teams that want to get into the first round. But do they want to get in at 32?
Listen, Howie's like that girl that, she's always in class, but she at every party. You can't really read her. You can't read her. You can't read her. Damn. She got a 4.0, but she at every party. I don't get it.
She at every party.
You can't read. You can't get a beat on her. What Shorty, what's your deal? How you doing this? You know what I mean? How you working this magic?
I don't know, man. I don't see us staying at 32. I think somehow, some way, Howie finds a way to move up. But I got to go into who are we looking for?
That's what I was about to ask you next. If he does move up, and obviously in season is the fun part, but I personally feel like off season is where you really start to stretch. You really start to stretch that brain matter, right? I love offseason because now we're playing chess here. Now we're trying to predict moves and how guys think. Okay, you're at the 32nd overall pick. That's a very awkward spot to be in if you're the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
If you see a guy you like, do you trade up to get him? And again, this goes back to if you can't get Miles. If you see a guy you like, do you trade up to get him? That begs the question: who's a guy that they could potentially like at that spot or higher?
Somebody put in Emin Wari. I watched him this weekend. Yeah, he's impressive.
Like who? Right? Like, do you because okay, let's start here.
Well, who's number one in ranking? What do we need in order of importance?
That's what I was about to ask you. I was literally about to ask you from a positional perspective, what do you think should be the first position of priority in the draft?
Edge. Because
D-line, edge.
Yeah, D-line.
And that's regardless if you bring back Bond or that's regardless of whatever free agent decision you make or whatever trade move you make. You're saying D-line in the first round.
Right.
Or D-line first pick rather.
I'm thinking specifically edge because we know we're going to lose Milt Williams, which is, well, I guess you could say D-line because technically Milt Williams is a tackle, not an edge.
And this is a deep draft with D-line, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to reach at D tackle because of the depth you already have.
Yeah, it's an either or to me. If you get it, because this is where you got to pump your brakes and do hands off.
So
this is where you got to say, Howie, this is where I trust your judgment and your homework. I trust you. You showed me your work, right? So I've seen Jalen Hunt produce. I've seen Jalen Carter, and I've seen all the guys that you reached for that pay dividends. So I'm going to trust you in this one. Either or, which is more important right now, the defensive end or the defensive tackle? I'm going to leave that up to you because you've been batting 1,000 for the last 4 years. You know what I mean? But it is on that defensive line. I could see them probably bringing in another linebacker, not a high draft pick, because everybody wants to see Trot get in there. But I am not going to ignore. You know, I'm biased to my man, Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean was balling. Him and Zach Bond were ridiculous. People forget that interception that Nakobe had earlier in the year and the drop pick six he had in Brazil.
Yeah, the Jacksonville game was a real big moment for him. That was a real big moment. But also, here's the thing about Nakobe, man. I know that's your man, and I love Nakobe. I think he had a hell of a season.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. After he went down, Orenbergs comes in, plays fair in the Packers game, but from that point forward,
solid.
More than solid.
Yeah.
But to your point, solid, reliable, trustworthy. Was worthy. Did his job to a T. Nothing more, nothing less. Did his job. Does that, knowing what we've seen, you saw Zach Bond take over the green dot, and we know Nakobe was playing in between Bond and DeJean. And Oren Burks pretty much just plugged and played as if nothing ever happened. We went through that whole playoff run, and we didn't really miss a beat on defense.
Didn't miss a beat.
I think that hurts Nakobe Dean's value. And the injury, I think in terms of his future contract talks, that helps the Eagles as far as leverage. I think the Eagles I think Howie is in love with Nakobe. So I think Howie wants to keep Nakobe on his rosters for as long as he can, for as much as he can, right? So I think the injury plus how the Eagles defense played without Nakobe in the playoffs hurts Nakobe's negotiating power and free agency when he becomes that. And then on top of that, seeing what Zach Bond did, I think it elevated Zach Bond's value. And therefore, you ask yourself, damn, if I saw Oren Burks do that next to Zach Bond, I saw Nakobe do that next to Zach Bond, can Jeremiah Trotter Jr. do the same thing?
That's what everybody waiting on.
You got to ask yourself that. So Nakobe, as much as we love him, this is a very interesting situation. That's why him getting hurt was such a shot to the chest because it hurts his contract power negotiating wise.
Yes,
and it also drives
his price down.
Drives your price down. It also forces the Eagles to ask themselves, "Hey, Oren Burks did it. You did it. Why can't Jeremiah Trotter Jr. do it next to these guys?
I agree. It's going to put everything in a crazy situation. So next year will be Nakobe's. That'll be the last year of his rookie deal, right?
His fourth year, like, because he's a third round pick, fourth year of his rookie deal last year. He's lame. He's lamed up.
But at the end of the day, what it means is, if he comes back, I don't see any reason why he won't. And we'll see how he plays.
He's not going to play a full season because he's going to start the season on the PUP list. For
Correct.
one. So let's just say we don't see him until week 5, week 6.
But that's my point. Whenever that time is, he's going to play more than half the season.
Okay.
Right? Then you see what you see. Because at the end of the day, and again, I'm saying this because y'all know I'm biased with Nakobe.
I love him
but the facts of the matter are, when he gets this opportunity, he's playing for his next team or his next contract. Period. Unless something crazy happens, or he elects to want to stay, kind of like what we're saying with Becton, but I don't see that happening. I don't know what's going to happen then. He's playing his way to whatever his next opportunity is because he's coming off of that injury.
He'll make more here going anywhere else. No matter what happens, in my opinion. No matter what happens.
Exactly.
No matter how good he plays. I think he'll make more here than going anywhere else.
Exactly. But there's always a team out there willing to overpay. And that's what these agents bank on. There's always a team out here willing to overpay. And you might get lucky. Because I love using C.J. Gardner-Johnson as an example. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had every right to ask for his price.
He did.
Every right. He was co-leader in interceptions that year.
But I think he misread the market, though. That was a bad market for safeties that year.
That's exactly correct.
The only person that got paid was Jesse Bates.
Jesse Bates.
Only one. And after that, everybody else got like 9.
But my point
million,
is,
8 million.
he had every right to ask for it. He just misjudged the market.
That's it.
And it ended up costing him. Because you remember that whole situation. Slay was out the door tweeting and stuff. It's been real, Philly. Next thing you know, I don't know what happened. Big Dom came and talked to me. Now I'm back with the Birds again. You never know what's going to happen and how it plays out. So he had every right to shoot his shot. And he just misread the market. He said as much when he came back. Nakobe Dean is going to be in the same boat. Will another team be willing to pay? Because, and here's the thing with Nakobe. He's already put it out there. He beat out Devin White, right? And when healthy, because there's a lot of players with this caveat, when healthy, he's a really good linebacker. You don't have to go any further than that because coming off of injury, I would still take Nakobe Dean off of a lot of other linebackers on other teams. So basically, it's going to be a supply and demand like normal. Was there a rash of injuries at linebackers? You know what I mean? Stuff like that happens all the time. So everybody's trying to pull people off the scrap heap, pull people off the couch. So you never know what's going to happen with that. So I hope he stays, but to your point, that because of the injury, the price is going to be driven down a little bit. And then it comes to the fact that do you want a player, he might end up being one of them dudes in that position.
Yeah, because you got Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Entering year two of his NFL career. You got 3 years left to find out what he is at the end of the day. They have a similar profile in terms of build and how they play. It is going to be interesting to see, but it also gets interesting when you think about the whole Philly Bulldog aspect of it, right? Trying to keep that nucleus because Nakobe is Nakobe is kind of the North Star for all those guys.
Nakobe was the captain, bro.
He's the North Star
of the national championship team.
So to your point, and again, Howie loves Nakobe. If you think about Nakobe's career so far, Howie has done everything possible to get him on the field.
Yep.
So I wouldn't put it past Howie to find a way to give Nakobe very cheap, very frugal 2-year deal. Just keep, just to buy you some time, whatever it may be, to keep him on his roster.
Did you see his interview on Uncle Ocho?
I didn't see the whole thing. I saw clips, but N'Kobe's hilarious.
Did you hear the part where he was talking about when he got injured?
Yeah, he said his knee rolled up on his thigh.
He said his knee was in the wrong. I was like, oh, I didn't even know that.
He said he tried to push it back down, and when it came back up, he was like, "Oh shoot."
Yep.
Oh man,
that was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
But
what's your thoughts on the whole tight end situation in Philadelphia? Because I think it's time for the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought it was time last season, but I feel like it's time. Well, let me rephrase that. I liked Grant Calcaterra. I was a Jack Stoll guy. A lot of people weren't, but I was. And Dallas Goedert obviously is talented as they come, but can't stay healthy, right? I didn't think the Eagles needed to rush to fix that tight end position last year. I didn't think they needed to rush there. I didn't think that was a rush. This year, going this offseason, you got to make a move at tight end. Because seeing Dallas Goedert this season, again, when he's on the field, we know we love him. That's not a question. The dude only played 12 games.
Yeah.
That was his worst since what? Year 2, year 3. Let me make sure I got this right here. But Dallas Goedert, you had to start thinking about life either after him or with him. And what I mean by that is maybe you draft a guy that can learn behind him, and then eventually he supplants him at some point. Because Dallas Goedert is entering the final year of his contract, and he's done getting top 5 tight end money. That's never going to happen again because of his health, strictly because of his health. Not because of his talent.
I knew somebody was going to mention Mason Taylor.
Not because of his not because of his talent, but because of his health. He's not going to get top 5 tight end money. So, do you see the Philadelphia Eagles giving Dallas Goedert maybe a year or 2-year extension at a reasonable price? They draft the tight end, and they pretty much do the whole Zach Ertz thing, the transitional period.
Possibly, but as much as I love Dallas Goedert and Calcaterra, and I like Jack Stoll too, but all 3 of them, blocking was an issue.
And this is the first year blocking was an issue for Goedert. Normally
was an issue.
Normally Goedert is he can do it all, really.
Yeah,
he can do it all. But this year his blocking wasn't the cleanest. Now could it have been the injuries, whatever it was, all that kind of
possible.
stuff. But
possible.
Goedert just turned 30. He's 30 years old. He's 30 years old in 58 days. 30 years old plus 58 days.
Well, we're not going to take a high pick for a tight end. So it's going to be in the lower rounds.
I heard this is a deeper tight end draft too. I heard this is a deep tight end draft and a deep D-line draft.
Just find somebody that's super athletic and can block and catch the ball. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. Find somebody that's athletic that can block. Everybody that is going to be able to catch the ball. We need somebody that can block because 26 ain't going nowhere. That's to me, he's still the engine.
Yeah.
He's still the engine. 26 ain't going nowhere. And while we still have this offensive line producing the way they are producing, listen, you got to do this. Ain't nothing but an oil change in a Lamborghini. Go ahead. Yeah, it's going to cost you $5,000, but there's a reason. So go ahead and do what you got to do because you already know if you can afford it, asking to keep the maintenance up ain't an issue. Go ahead and pay the money. Do what you got to do.
Hold on real quick, though. I was off. Dallas Goedert had his worst season as far as health in 2024.
Yeah.
He only played 10 games. 10 games. Let me give you the years prior to that. Let's start with the rookie year. Or let's work our way backwards, right? No, let's start with the rookie year because it'll just show the deterioration process. 2018, rookie year, 16 games played. 2019, 15 games played. 2020, 11 games played. 2021, 15 games played. 2022, 12 games played. 2023, 14 games played. 2024, 10 games played. I can't pay that. I can't pay that top 5 tight end money. I can't.
Yeah.
I have to, and he's 30. I have to think about life after him and transitioning with him. I have to.
Exactly.
I love Dallas Goedert. And this is the part of the offseason that people need to wake up on, right? This is the part of the year, rather, where people have to start putting their fandom to the side and start focusing on risk, reward,
Facts over feelings.
cost, benefit, facts over feelings. I love Dallas Goedert. I would love to see him on this roster, maybe as a second tight end in the second tight end role, right? He could probably want to have no problem keeping him on this roster as a number 2 tight end. But the Eagles are going to have to find out who their new number 1 tight end is going over the course of the next 2 seasons.
Yeah,
because Dallas Goedert's entering the final year of his deal. Do we ask yourself? Do you see Howie Roseman paying Dallas Goedert or giving him some kind of extension? I say yes, but it has to be at a very, very reasonable price tag.
Yeah, and also whoever they draft next is going to be the guy that's the hybrid now. Because we're not going to take no defensive linebacker. We're not taking Van Sumeren and putting him at fullback no more.
Right.
Get you a tight end that's a hybrid. That's what you're going to have to do. Just like Kittle's is in San Francisco. They put him at fullback, but he's a tight end. Just like Kansas City was doing. So go ahead and do what you got to do. Find that athletic guy out there. There's a lot of them in the draft. And some damn good ones. And we just going to have to bring up a young fella. Maybe you keep Dallas Goedert on the roster at a much lower price because he's going to have to tutor in the next generation. We are there. But we still need somebody that can block on the edge of that line.
Yeah.
That almost hurt us a few times this year. So we gotta plug that hole. But I like Dallas Goedert with you too. Every time it got to the point, every time Dallas Goedert would stiff arm somebody, I would get worried that somebody's gonna jack up his arm. Because that's what happened.
Because talent isn't the question. I don't question Dallas Goedert's ability. I don't question his talent. I don't question his ability to kick ass. I question whether or not he's going to be there when I need him most.
Exactly.
I don't and look, he was there for he made it back for the playoffs. He had that week 18 game against the Giants, to knock the rust off a little bit. But I can't sit here and lie and say there were moments in the playoffs where I was like, you know what I mean? Like this is the reality. This is the reality. I'm looking at some of these tight end prospects here, and you're right. I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles have to reach for one. You see guys like, and again, there's only really like maybe 1 or 2 tight ends who are potential. Well, Tyler Warren is obviously first round, obviously.
Yeah.
But after that, you start seeing guys 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round worthy. I mean, Mason Taylor. I know he brought up Mason Taylor. That's blunt. Gunnar Helm, Terrence Ferguson. Listen, Luke Lachey, 6'6", ran a 4.7. Not the fastest, but 6'6", 251 out of Iowa. I would take a chance on any Iowa tight end.
Yeah.
Sam Laporta and George Kittle is all the sample size I need. I will take a chance on any Iowa tight end. Luke Lachey. That's my mindset with that.
Mason Taylor ran a
4.64.
4.64. Okay.
Yeah.
But damn, man, freaking 6'5", bro.
250. Yeah, that is crazy.
6'5", 250.
4.64 is insane at that size.
But he gonna get drafted. Somebody in the chat, who was that? Somebody just mentioned Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green.
Yo, because he had a year. He did,
and that's Leffler's boy. Leffler coached him, so I don't mind that. 6'3", 241. But
wait, isn't the Eagles' new quarterback coach out of? No, wait, he's out of Bowling Green.
Right, that's where Fannin's from.
Right,
Bowling Green. He coached him. Leffler coached him. That's what I'm saying.
Right. There it is. Yeah, you're right. Hey,
yes. They was mentioning that on the broadcast is that, he's familiar with him. He got the best out of him. You know what I mean? So you never know what's going to happen.
And that quarterback coach or that coach that, because that was his first time being a head coach. And I guess he probably realized I'm more of a positional guy. He's been coaching quarterbacks for over 20 years.
For a while.
For over 20 years, man. Like I could respect. I appreciate that experience, and I think that
people need to chill out over this because I saw a lot of, I think people are very misconstrued on what a quarterback's coach does. A quarterback coach is not calling the plays, not creating the offense, none of that. Normally, I'm sure there are cases. Normally, the quarterback's coach, they looking at game film and they're like, Jalen, look at your feet. Look at your arm. Why you do a double hitch? It's mechanics.
Yeah, it's keeping him.
Yeah.
Making sure, because over the course of a game, a quarterback, depending on how the circumstances are going, a guy can lose his fundamentals as a game progresses because
where your eyes at?
Maybe he's getting hit, maybe he's overthinking. A quarterback coach, quite frankly, is really a quarterback psychologist throughout the course of a game.
Exactly. So he's not. Everybody thinks the quarterback's coach is the same as the offensive coordinator.
It's not the same,
and it's totally different. So Leffler's job is going to be to keep Jalen from falling into bad habits. That's what his job is going to be.
Bingo.
So, pump your brakes on the panic.
Yeah,
we'll be fine. I think Leffler's a good coach. I'm familiar with Bowling Green.
Yeah,
that's from my neck of the woods in Ohio, man.
Do me a favor, brother, and hit that super chat. Keys to life. It should be over there. It's can Johnny Wilson convert the tight? There we go. So I want to make sure we show him his love. Shout out to Keys to Life with the super chat, man. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. He says, can Johnny Wilson convert the tight end? Solid blocker. I'm gonna be honest with you. Johnny Wilson, he pissed me off in the Super Bowl. I'm gonna be honest. He pissed me off. Jalen threw him a damn layup. And I know one thing for sure about Johnny Wilson. I know he can block. I don't worry about that. He better make sure he got a jug machine at the crib, and he better make sure he walking around with a football in the facility. And I want everybody that walk past him to try to knock it out of his damn hand, because I've seen too many times, or again, he's only had so many targets, but I've seen too many times for my liking where the ball hit him in his hand and he dropped it. Or his big ass couldn't bring it in knowing he had the size advantage, whatever it may be.
Right.
So I like Johnny Wilson, but he better start catching the damn ball. I'm serious about that. Technique is awful. Aaron Moorhead got his hands full. He too big to be playing that soft. Too big, man.
Yeah. He'll be fine though. Somebody in the chat tried to tell me Bowling Green is in Kentucky. No, there's a Bowling Green, Kentucky, but Bowling Green University is in Ohio. Bro, I'm an Ohio boy.
Yep, Bowling Green's in Ohio. Yep, yes it is.
Bowling Green is in Ohio, son.
Yes, it is.
But yes, you are correct. There is a Bowling Green in Kentucky. I believe that is where Western Kentucky is. So I went to EKU, bro. I'm good with Kentucky. I can tell you about all the flat licks, paint licks.
Tri-state.
Man, don't mess with me about the Kentucky, man. I'm very familiar with.
Oh my goodness, man, that is hilarious.
but hilarious. Common mistake though. Common mistake. So I ain't mad at you.
No, you was a little bad about that.
Yeah, I was.
Oh man. Dude. But no, this is. How we had I think what we've ironed out throughout this entire conversation is no matter how much we love or have our opinions about whatever, Harry Roseman has his hands full this offseason. But a lot of his problems are good problems.
Yes. Problems that other teams would love to have. There is a cost to winning the Super Bowl. Because for the past, the other 4 weeks that it took us to get there, so you got 6 weeks Well, all them other teams got a head start on trying to do what they got to do. And meanwhile, while we trying to drink coffee and get over the hangover, everybody else been at work.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great when it came out that Vic Fangio had the defense watching film of that second half, because he was like, "Nah, we ain't 22 points in the second half, bro. Not acceptable. Not acceptable." So I thought that was an awesome kind of look, and like I said, man, we are in a prime position where we can run it back. The offense is sound. We're not losing anything on the offense. We might lose an offensive guard or a tackle here or there, but Jeff Stoutland can get everybody ready. But as long as QB1 and 2-6 is back there, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
And now it's funny because Jalen just, he just pulled the Aikido move on everybody. It's like, all right, y'all keep telling me I can't throw. Keep telling me I can't throw. Keep telling me I can't throw. Psych. It just took him to the house, man. I will listen, man. If they get to the point in the far future, instead of having statues, they just get like a virtual 3D replication of a play. They got to call that dagger, man. They got to keep showing that dagger. Yo, I love that play.
I love that. Like, see that play coupled with the commentary, just
give
that thing
give
is
it to Saquon. Maybe not.
That's a legendary moment.
I love that, man.
What did he say? He said, "Are you just going to pound it, or maybe throw the dagger?
Maybe throw the dagger."
I'm like, what? Yo, seeing that in real time, lost my freaking marbles, bro.
Did you see the? I don't know if it was an actual commercial or if somebody did it on social media, where they showed the pass from Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith at was it? Nah, that would Well, it would have been at Bama.
Are you talking about the
They showed the pass from Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith in college, and then they showed the same play. Then they showed the dagger in the pros.
That may be fan made, I think,
because he did play with Devontae for a year,
right,
before he left up out of there. Who was this? Alex. Remember, for a month. Nice, Alex. Tied the NFL record for the most wins with 18, and we should have had 20. We should have been 20-1, bro.
Yeah.
Should have been 20-1. A freaking drop pass by Saquon. He made up for it.
It's cool though. It's cool though. You know why? Because all
the Devontae Smith drop.
That's
he
how
made up for that as well.
That's how you get forged in the fire. All those you don't want to get too fat. You know what I mean? You don't want to get too fat. All those losses and wins culminated in this moment. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing.
Somebody tallied up the stats, bro. 3 Super Bowls in 7 years with 2 victories. 3 Super Bowls in 7 years with 2 victories. 2017 and 2024, and we lost in 2022.
Sheesh.
Y'all better stop playing with me.
Man, y'all better stop, man. Shout out to all my members too, man. Alex, Sweet Chin Music, all my members, man. Thank y'all for locking in where you guys have been. Man, you guys have been members for a month. It's so dope to see. I appreciate you guys. Also, make sure you guys smash that like button. That like button is currency in this YouTube space. We got well over 200 people tuned into this live stream total. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, man. It means a lot to us. It goes a long way. Make sure you guys continue to stay engaged. This content is going to continue to go all year long. I gotta find a question for you that I guess we could just take it wherever we take it, unless you want to close it. But I gotta find a question for you that I've been thinking about, and it's a low stakes question.
Okay,
but has Jake Elliott put together a Hall of Fame resume?
Yes,
because I'm looking at this guy's career here. Jake Elliott is 96% is 96% kicking extra points, and he's at 84.8% with field goals. Now, granted, his worst year was in 2020, but his second to worst year was obviously in 2024, but he made up for it in the playoffs, obviously.
Mhm.
So, and also he broke the record for most points scored in the Super Bowl with 16. So, and 2 Super Bowl rings, 1 Pro Bowl.
Like,
Obviously, he needs more. But
once
2
you
Super
said
Bowl
Super
rings,
Bowl
1 Pro
rings,
Bowl,
stop right there.
and an All Pro, a second team All Pro.
Look at his playoff record. What did he do in the playoffs?
In the
That's the most
playoffs,
important thing.
okay, I'm glad you said that. So this is his playoffs, right? Wow, listen to this. Man, if it wasn't for 2024, okay, I'm going to give you his year by year and then give you his career average in the playoffs, right? So as far as field goals, right? 100% in 2017, 100% in 2018. Remind you, 2017 was Super Bowl. So 2017, 100% Super Bowl. 2018, 100%. 2019, 100%. 2022, 100%. 2023, 100%. 2024, 90.9%, but was 100% in the Super Bowl or Super Bowl ring. Extra points. So for his career, as far as field goals in the playoffs, 96.3%, 2 Super Bowls. Extra points average for over 7 years. 87.8% as far as extra points go. Again, 2 Super Bowl rings, man. I mean, overall, make sure I got this right here. Yeah, man. I mean, 96.3% as far as field goals and 2 Super Bowl rings. He has a second team All Pro on the resume and a Pro Bowl. I mean, I'm not saying it's Justin Tucker, but he got more Super Bowls than Justin Tucker.
He that dude, man. Yes. People are gonna, because this is the most recent year, and he struggled until we got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Got to the playoffs, he did what he had to do.
Yeah.
And you know what? He contributed in the big game, came through clutch, put the ball through the pipes, and did what we had to do.
Yeah.
I'm good. If y'all, he might not be a first ballot or nothing like that, but yes.
Jake has been money for a long time.
Absolutely.
He's been money for a long time, man.
I don't care what position you play, everybody struggles.
At some point,
everybody
right?
struggles in the league.
How you respond is the question.
And he's no different. Nobody is exempt. Unfortunately, he struggled late when we had this run, when it was important, and everything that came with that, of course. And then, we're Philly, so we super hyper sensitive on everything. Miss a field goal, and everybody want to get rid of him. And it's like, man, he's not going to get rid of him. Mm-hmm. He's staying. We got to let it play out. And it played out, and it played out to the ultimate conclusion in our favor.
Right.
Everybody shut up. You know what I mean? Yeah. If he want to come back next year and kick again, we'll be right there with him, riding with him.
Yeah.
It's going to be good until it ain't. That's
man, for sure. Bold Brew with the super chat, man. Thank you, man. He says, with the success of Bond, who was a career special team player, and 2 rookies in Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, do y'all think Vic's defense is more about the player or scheme? I don't think it's that simple to say either or. I think Zach Bond is the quintessential example of when preparation meets opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
And Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, they were we came to find out that they were 2 of the more polished DBs to come into the league at that time. And Vic Fangio just continued to polish them and put them in positions to succeed. I mean, it's no mystery when Cooper DeJean came in, the defense went to a whole nother level. So that speaks to him and also Vic understanding what he needs at the position. But I'm not going to dismiss Vic's development, but I'm also not going to dismiss what those guys brought to the table prior to. So it's a hand in glove fit. So I'm not going to say either or.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the stuff, and I've heard people say this in interviews. One of the things that we were bitching about last year when the defense couldn't tackle a soul was, thank you for the super chat, Bold Brew, was the physicality in the defense and in practice. Wasn't nobody hitting. I remember Slade got into it with Seth, and I was like, bruh, Seth is not the one you want to get in the argument with, because you ain't gonna win that. And y'all can't tackle. Y'all couldn't hit a mirror in the bathroom last year. It just wasn't working. Now we brought some physical play, a physical mindset. Everybody was talking about, or at least I was when we hired Fangio, and everybody with the Miami Dolphins started chirping like they was happy to get rid of him, and all of that type of stuff. Now you see what we got. Now when the loudmouths shut it down, and when it gets down to what you do on the field, that matters. You see what matters. And when people buy into an old school coach like Vic Fangio, because let's be real, they want to win too. That's what people forget. They usually get into contention when you got young players that still want to live a lifestyle and do things the way they've been doing it, but you ain't been winning. And then when somebody comes in and want to change the culture, but you comfortable, so you don't want to change. So the minute a guy like that had your defense as a top 10 gets out, you want to make videos about kicking rocks and stuff like that. And now look what you got. So guess what? Peace while we shining our rings. I hope you enjoy yourself on the beach down in Miami.
And
we got the prize.
Yep. And we actually got a DB room of guys who want to hit. Like, that's the thing, right? Tackling is a desire. Tackling is a mentality, right? You gotta want to put somebody in their grave. Like Quayon, he like hitting. Coop, he like hitting. CJ, Reed Blankenship, they like hitting. Keely Ringo, he likes hitting. The only person in deep room that don't like tackling is Slay. But guess what? He got to fall in line because everybody else tackling. He got to fall in line. You know what I mean?
Here's one thing that I take this into consideration, and I put a lot of emphasis on this, and it has not been talked about at all. CJ Gardner-Johnson became a leader of that defense.
Sure did.
When CJ Gardner-Johnson got kicked out of that game,
Sidney Brown wants to hit. Thank you, MJS. Sorry about that. Sidney Brown wants to hit. Yeah.
That light switch came on. CJ Gardner-Johnson became a leader. When he got kicked out of that game and he saw what happened, he saw his value in real time. And it changed him. Still came through talking shit. Still didn't change much of his personality. But to me, it seems like that moment he understood what he meant to that defense.
I agree.
And
100%.
it's a shame it took him that long, and it took a incident like that. But hey, different strokes for different folks. The way it manifests is the way it manifests. And that's the way it was for him. And to be able to come to the forefront as a leader, because remember what we talked about during the season? Remember when I said about you got different personalities, but they got to balance each other. And Jalen is sullen and stoic and don't say much. You got to have an opposite. Brandon Graham went down, so he ain't on the field. So you got to have an opposite. CJ Gardner-Johnson was that opposite, but the leadership qualities came out of him, and wasn't nobody expecting that. We all knew he could play. We all knew him as that dude standing in front of Tom Brady. You know, what you gonna say? We like that, but we still need that leadership, and we got it out of CJ Gardner-Johnson. Out of all the people, and if that don't tell you what type of locker room or what type of coaches we had, nothing will.
Absolutely. And I can agree with you more. And I can even throw AJ Brown into the fold, since the chat's having a great time discussing AJ Brown. AJ Brown, I want AJ Brown to be exactly who he is. Right. Now,
Yes,
AJ Brown has never done anything to get himself ejected from a game, right? He's not that kind of like rah-rah guy, because when he's playing, he's actually more quiet than anything. His body language speaks more than what his mouth does on the field. But a lot of people tend to have a problem with who AJ Brown is off the field. And me personally, I don't. I don't mind AJ Brown being the player he is off the field. I enjoy it. I appreciate it. I feel like some people like to pick and choose what they want from their athletes at any given moment, whenever it suits their mood. And my thing is, AJ Brown is exactly who we need him to be, because AJ Brown, whether y'all realize it or not, he brings the best out of Jalen Hurts. He brings the best out of the guys around him. He's going to be that guy. He's going to be that guy that pushes guys to the edge just far enough where they can actually give something back, right? AJ Brown is somebody who is a 3-time second team All-Pro. A.J. Brown is somebody who has given the Philadelphia Eagles, I want to say, damn near 4,000 yards receiving in 3 seasons playing at the receiver spot. He's somebody who's been the captain for 2 years. He's somebody who has put us in winning situations more times than not. He's somebody who has had, I believe, 5, 6, 7 consecutive games with over 120 yards receiving in 2023. A.J. Brown is somebody who demands excellence from himself. A.J. Brown is somebody who doesn't accept mediocrity from anybody else around him. So when you see a guy like A.J. Brown who's passionate on the sidelines, we see a guy like A.J. Brown who wants to be able to impact the game because he knows he can and because he knows he's always open. And when A.J. Brown says he's always open, he means that shit. So the way I see it, I want A.J. Brown to be exactly who he is because everything that some of y'all criticize him for is what makes him who he is on that football field. I'm not going to change a single iota. I'm not going to change a single strand on that man's DNA. I want everything, every smudge. I want every blotch on that man's jacket because it makes the man who he is today on that football field. I want that dog. He said something on $1 million worth of game with Gillian Wallow. He spoke about the whole idea of, how he's perceived in the media, right? And, he spoke about how, like, listen, there's no receiver in football that doesn't want to catch the ball. And if there is one, you don't want him on your team. As a matter of fact, that's not the guy you want. He's not going to be in his league for he's not going to be in his league for long. You want a receiver who wants to impact the game. You want a receiver who wants the ball in their hands because they know what they can do with it. It's just that plain and simple. And A.J. Brown, see, the production, in my opinion, matches the mentality. It'd be different if A.J. Brown wasn't productive or he was always hurt and he talking like this. Okay, I can see what you're talking about. But A.J. Brown, he's the type of brother that you need in the building. He gives you the production and still give you that edge. A.J. Brown, not really a shit talker. You know what I mean? He has, A.J. Brown he's a unique individual in terms of his personality and his overall experience in life. And I have so much respect for A.J. Brown because of what he's endured throughout his young career, coming up in his league, being transparent about his mental health battle. I have such reverence for a brother like that. And I understand passion when I see it. I understand having that edge. I understand being misunderstood, right? So I'm not going to be one of those people who tells A.J. Brown to shut up and dribble or shut up and catch the ball. I don't believe in that. I want my athletes to be exactly who I need them to be as great as they need to be on their football field. That's just my mindset.
Yeah. And the one thing people don't, I guess, understand, most of the media, even Philadelphia's media, don't understand what A.J. Brown. You don't, and I'm not even going to pretend like I do. I can't have empathy because I've never been where he's been.
Right.
Because you mentioned the mental health issues. That man openly admitted that he was suicidal. So when that happens, you're talking about somebody that's been to the bottom, right?
Grew up in a trailer park.
When you've been there, everything else, there ain't nothing you can say or nothing you can do that can compare to as low as you've been with somebody that contemplated taking their own life. That's what I'm saying. I can't empathize with that because I've never been there. I've never experienced that. But people that have been to the bottom, right? They ain't worrying about what folks are saying. They can give a damn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when people in this new media landscape, everybody's looking for the reaction. And when you don't get the reaction you want, you got a problem with it. And A.J. Brown ain't the one. A.J. Brown is the one. And you already know, Tone, I said from day one, A.J. Brown is not wrong of what he said about Jalen Hurts. 100% right. But everybody want to take it the wrong way and all of that type of stuff. Now you got somebody that don't give a damn what you think. Then you got a bunch of people that don't understand the dynamics in the locker room. And you put them things mixed together, and all you got is a bunch of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So, family fight all the time. That don't mean they don't love each other.
Yeah.
So I'm with you 100%. Say I feel the same way with Jalen. Jalen don't need to remember when they was telling Jalen he's got to change his personality, got to be a little bit more like, no, And you know what? I was so happy that when Jalen Hurts gave his on the field interviews, he was that same dry ass, boring, monotone dude that we had seen all year. And I was like, you know what? That's him. He ain't changed. And the only thing he did was get your asses to a Super Bowl.
And Marcus, you need that dichotomy in the locker room.
Do.
You need your yin and yang. You said it earlier. You need your humble beast in Jalen Hurts. You also need your killer in CJ GJ.
Exactly.
You need your humble beast in Devontae Smith, but you also need your lethal assassin in AJ Brown. You got to have that dichotomy, right? This shit don't work if everybody too cool for school.
Exactly.
It don't work if everybody too cool for school. I'm sorry if y'all want everybody to just be choir boys and no, it don't work like that. You need some killers in there. I'm sorry. You need somebody that's gonna say something everybody else ain't gonna say. AJ Brown said it, I think, last year. He said, listen, y'all see me on that sideline passions because I want more from my guys. I know my guys can give me more. You know what I'm saying? Every time Devontae scored, you see how AJ get in his face like, you him, you that. When Devontae scored on that dagger, that post route, you saw AJ Brown reaction. Like, come on, man. AJ Brown, you need that dichotomy. You need that balance in your locker room. You need, first of all, let's be honest about this too, right? You don't get to where AJ Brown has gotten without having a little bit of ego.
No, not at all.
You can't get there.
You can't have it both ways.
You can't get there. And ego manifests differently for different people. Jalen Hurts doesn't get where he is without having an ego. Devontae, see, y'all think Devontae Smith, because he's quiet, he ain't got an ego. Y'all think that. Nah. Devontae got an ego too, but it manifests different. It manifests different.
Yeah.
Right? You don't get that far. You don't get to be a number 1A and a number 1B, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. You don't get to that level of your craft without having an ego. You don't get to that level of your craft without thinking you that ball. You don't get to that level of your craft without taking out some people along the way. You don't. So I love everything I get from AJ Brown. I love everything I get from Smitty. When you hear Smitty mic'd up on the sideline, he talk his ish.
He talk his talk.
When he see, it comes out after he makes the play. It comes out after he scores. And when Smitty scores, you hear all that stuff that y'all think he don't say, it all comes out in those 5-10 seconds after he scores.
And it's funny because the drive is different. Because Smitty was somebody that said was too small, would never do it. You know what I mean? And the only thing he did was go to Bama and just torch everybody and win the Heisman and be one of what? How many people that won the Heisman and won the Super Bowl? Like, he's putting himself in rare air. So Alfredo, Jake Elliott was hurt. I kept hearing that too.
I kept hearing that
Appreciate
too.
the
Yeah.
$2 super chat. So but Jake Elliott did his thing, man. So I'm good with Jake. Anybody want to get rid of him because he had a couple bad games? Y'all going about your business. We'll agree to disagree. Alex comes back with another $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you, Alex. 3 straight 1,000 seasons, 3 straight All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, and people still want AJ gone.
Come on, man.
Well,
AJ Brown is on pace for a Hall of Fame resume. He's on pace.
Yes, he is.
He's on pace. He's going to go down as the greatest Eagles wide receiver of all time. I don't care what nobody say. He is. So far, I think he is already. I'm ready to say that. And Smitty already has the most receiving yards in Eagles postseason history.
Yep.
Like, come on, man. Yep. We got some young legends in here. You need that dichotomy. Shout out to Luther Winfield, the super chat. He said AJ good. I'm sorry, go on, Marcus. You read it.
I was gonna say, but y'all know when Mother said, "Don't talk about my business when we get to where we going." When he said was needed just in house, I agree with you, Luther, but you wrong. That was Brandon Graham that did that.
Yeah,
people would have just been mad. People just would have been mad at what AJ said and why he said it. AJ was correct when he said it. He said it right after the game. That's what it needed to be said. What Brandon Graham did, Brandon Graham was the one that was talking business in somebody else's house. So we'll agree to disagree on that one, bro. But I appreciate you nonetheless.
Because honestly, when AJ said it, I'm gonna be honest with you. When he said it, because you know what's so crazy, Marcus? I've been maturing as a man, right? And you know, when you're in the social media space like we both are, sometimes you can get too caught up in the madness, and you start to think that you're supposed to care about everything, and you're supposed to believe that you believe that you're programmed to believe that you have to be outraged about everything. So I've been becoming way more disciplined and selective with my outrage, right? I've been asking myself, do I really have a problem with this? And if I don't, I'm not going to pretend like I do. So therefore, bringing it back to AJ in those comments, when they asked AJ what needs to improve, he said passing. I sat with myself and I said, he's right. He's right. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm mad about that. He's right. It doesn't
Anybody
improve.
watch the game?
And it wasn't just Jalen Hurts needs to improve. It was just the entire flow of it, how we executed. Just we need to taking advantage of opportunities, right? Passing has to improve, period. That was a fact. I think people didn't see what he said wasn't the problem. It was who he said it to, when he said it, where he said it. You feel what I'm saying? Because I don't have no problem with it at all. But
I think it came down to.
Go ahead.
I think it came down to just because he was talking about Jalen. Period. I think that's as far as it needs to go. And the way this city feels about Jalen Hurts, they just took it some kind of way. And then, now mind you, and then this is when I inject I used to be a player. Yeah. When you're in the locker room, just like I mentioned earlier, family fights. That don't mean you don't love each other.
But Marcus, they wishy-washy about Hurts too. That's correct. The funny thing about it. They wishy-washy about him. So it's exactly. You don't talk about our quarterback, but y'all switch up on him like a jumper head. Stop it.
Man, both sides. They'll jump. That people that don't like Hurts will be just waiting for some reason to take him down or to bitch, moan, and complain about anything. So he said it in the moment after the game, and he gave a one-word answer.
One word, and let
everybody else put everything else on it.
Exactly.
Everybody else put everything else on it. And then when Brandon Graham did what he did, that just exasperated the situation. But on the interview with Wallow, he spoke on that too. He was like, listen, man, it happens. That don't mean it's a beef or it's not that serious. It's not that serious. That's how guys do. You fight and then, come on over. We're going to play some PlayStation next week. That's what boys do.
You was in the locker room before. These grown-ass men we talking about. Grown men. You know what I mean? And your success hinges on the other. So yeah, frustration will kick in at some point, right? In business, you work with people. There's going to be a day you're like, yo, listen, bro, hey, tighten up. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have an argument, you're gonna have a debate about it, but that don't mean I hate you. That don't mean I don't want the best for you. That don't mean that you ain't still my guy. And listen, another aspect of this, those guys were brothers before they were teammates.
Right.
Hurts is the godfather to AJ's children. Like, they have a real relationship.
Hurts was in his house when he got drafted.
Exactly. He was in his house when he got drafted. So now you add in, now we work together. Now we depend on each other, not just in our real lives, but also we depend on each other professionally now.
Right.
Your success hinges on my success and vice versa. Now the relationship has evolved or it's become something else. So therefore, you're learning about your friend in a new environment now. It's like, hey, yeah, listen, hey, me and Marcus, our chemistry is crazy, when we do these live streams, right? But let's just say me and Marcus in the middle of the woods and we got to survive for 3 days. We're going to find out a lot. We're going to find out a lot about each other. We're going to find out things about each other that we didn't know. You feel what I'm saying? So it's the different stimuli, the different environment will have a different effect on the relationship.
Dude, they're like people, listen, when I was in Canada, when I was with the Ticats, there was a dude up there. He was a quarterback, this dude named Kendrick Nord. He went to an HBCU. He was a quarterback. He's about 6'3", could run like the wind, had a pretty good arm. And there was a dude, a running back. His name was Dean Noel. He was from the Caribbean. I think he was from like Trinidadian, right? Dark-skinned brother.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean did not like Kendrick for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't think they had been up there long, but for whatever reason, them two dudes didn't get along. And then one day in the locker room, out of the blue, Dean just swung on him.
Oh.
Like Kendrick was just talking. We was morning practice. Kendrick was just talking. And next thing you know, Dean walked up and you saw that look in his eyes and just swung on him. And Kendrick kind of avoided and swung back and they tussled, broke him up. And he was like, yo, where did that come from? Like, them jokers fought. The next day, they hashed it out, talked it over, and everything was all good. And I'm saying that to the point where y'all think that just because somebody said a couple words, I've seen where it's come to blows.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have. And it was one person feeling some kind of way when the other person really didn't do anything. Literally, my dude said, he's like, my bad, dude. That's just, and he would say, I'm Caribbean, dude. I just got that temper in me. You know what I mean? He couldn't even legitimately give a reason, but they fought, they talked it out, and the next day in practice, it was all good. So don't tell me that because somebody said something in an interview, it really means something. I've seen something where it's really come to blows, and that really could separate a locker room or put a rift in a locker room. I've seen when it come down to stuff like that, and that wasn't it. But because y'all couldn't figure it out, the media can't figure it out. You got to play these mind games, and you got to input what you think it is, and it just makes it even worse. So, Private McClunky with a $9 super chat. I appreciate you. $10 super chat. Tone, did you see Sills say that to get Garrett, we would have to give up Smitty and picks? He said that would make us better. I think he's asinine, and I'm with you 100%.
Listen, Sills has his methods, and I worked with Sills. No, he gave me a shot, so I got love for Sills in my own way. I disagree with him.
I like how you said that in your own way.
Yeah, I disagree with him. You'll never see me kick Sills back in, because he gave me a shot. Again, like I said, I got love for him my own way, and I'll never say anything bad about him. But I disagree with him. And as I've said on many platforms, I tend to disagree with about 90% of what Sills says. But again, that's the nature of the game, man. I always wish Sills well. And I wish those guys there well over there at Jacob Sports. They gave me my first shot, so I ain't got nothing bad to say about them. But yeah, trading for Myles Garrett would be a game changer for sure. But I'm not as pressed as everybody else. I'm not as pressed as everybody else.
That's it in a nutshell, man. None of this stuff matters right now. I rinse and repeat all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's going to ramp up again when camp gets started.
Yeah.
And we're going to have these same conversations, man. All of these moves and all of the stuff that people's doing in the offseason, all you doing is preparing for camp. That's it. Deebo was a good get for Washington. No doubt. But you still one play away. Deebo takes the wrong step and his knee goes. Bye-bye, Deebo. Brandon Ayuk held out. You saw what he did. That hurt. Bye-bye, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
So they hinging their bets on Purdy. One play away.
Oh, last thing. How much you think they're going to pay him?
Purdy?
He do. How much you think they're going to pay him?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird. They got to pay him enough as a starting quarterback because he earned it. I don't give a damn what anybody say. He played in the Super Bowl, and they lost, and it wasn't because of him.
But he also didn't elevate him either. Because, remember, okay, the game kind of went similarly as far as the offense goes, right? They bottled up Saquon. They bottled up Christian McCaffrey. Jalen Hurts elevated. Brock Purdy kind of just did what Brock Purdy does.
But that's what got him there. Because you could say the same thing. You can say the same thing about Baltimore. Did Lamar Jackson let him down, or did the tight end dropping the ball let him down?
It's a good point. I always think it's more than just one play, but I feel you.
Yeah. To your point, it is more than one play. And all I'm saying is what Brock Purdy did, and clearly there's been other quarterbacks that didn't get to the level of success he had.
Right.
That once again, for the same reason we champion Jalen Hurts, I do the same thing with Brock Purdy because he was Mr. Irrelevant and he had the same talents in Iowa State or wherever he played.
I like Brock Purdy, by the way. But I'm not paying him $50 million.
The point is this. You'll pay somebody $50 million and they got nowhere near the level of success he got, but because they 6'4" and got a stronger arm, that's the only reason you paying them. And once again, that's why we champion Jalen Hurts.
You're right.
He did what he had to do. He put his team in position to win. How did they do that? You don't need to throw long passes. All you need to do is get the ball in the hands of your playmakers and let them make plays. They didn't make the plays. They didn't. So
I feel you. I feel you.
He did what he had to do.
You traded Deebo. Ayuk is coming off of ACL. Kittle's another year older.
So now they're gonna see what they really got.
Christian McCaffrey's coming off of an injury-riddled season. I'm trying to figure out what that looks like for them.
You know what?
He gonna
get the Josh Sweat deal. They're gonna pay him enough.
You think
They're gonna pay it, or better yet, the Daniel Jones deal. They're gonna franchise him, give him that money because the franchise tag will be more money than he's ever made.
True.
Right? And now you can see what you really got because you done lost some weapons. Now we rebuilding a little bit, so it's all on you. Can you make it happen?
We'll see, man.
Your number one target is gone. Your number 2 target is hurt. It might not be coming back. Your number 3 target, your number 2 target technically would be CMC. So you can still hand it off to him.
Oh yeah, I forgot they still got Ricky Pearsall. I forgot about him.
Yeah,
he's a good
you
player.
Still got Pearsall,
like
you still get usage. And you still
got Greg. Don't they still got Jennings? What's his name? The receiver Jennings. I forget his name. But regardless, though, yeah, man, it's been a hell of a show, man. We covered a lot of bases.
Yeah, man.
We covered a lot of bases, man.
One thing I want to remind folks.
Yes.
Trying to find it. This Tuesday.
Jennings.
Yes. Dave Spadaro is my guest. Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Dave Spadaro is going to be live on Pro Fan Talk on the podcast, man. So real good get. I've known Dave for years and all the stuff I do with the Eagles alumni. Real good dude. You talking about somebody that bleed green. This joker was born and raised in Philly, been a part of the Eagles organization since I believe he was, I want to say 17 or 18 years old, man. So you talk about somebody that's ride or die. Dave Spadaro is ride or die, man. So
yeah,
very honored that he said yes to me, and he's gonna come on and talk with me Tuesday at 6 p.m.
That's dope, man. Like when you told me about that was a real good get. And if you could do me a favor real quick, Marcus, could you pull up what I just uploaded into the at the bottom of the screen? I'm gonna have my guy Philly 500 on later on at 5 p.m. Eastern time. 5 p.m. Eastern time. Philly 500 will be locking in, man. It's gonna be really dope. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. We haven't spoken since I think the offseason, something like that. So make sure you guys lock in with my guy Philly 500. I can't wait to talk to him later on at 5 p.m. Eastern time on the channel. The Chalk It Up Network. Again, make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys stay locked in. Please go check out my man, Coach Marcus, Pro Fan Talk. That Dave Spadaro interview is going to be awesome. And I can't wait until you get the N'Kobe Dean one. I can't wait until you get the Jason Kelce one as well. All that stuff is loading. I'm putting that into the universe. So, but anyway, make sure you guys lock in. I'm bringing on Philly 500 at 5 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a movie, you guys. Make sure you guys are on the right side of history. It's going to be a movie, you guys. Can't wait.
All right, man. We're going to get up out of here, man. Gonna get up out of it. Don't start, hey, man. We gonna be coming at you every Sunday,
every week, every Sunday,
same
time. 11. What is it? 11 a.m. Eastern, right?
11 a.m. Eastern time, man. We gonna make it happen.
Love it, man. Marcus, you already know love it, dog.
You already know, bro. We Super Bowl champions, and everybody hating on us, but we gonna keep shining our rings, man. That's what's up. Yo, did you get your Love Hurts hoodie?
Not yet. I'm gonna get it soon though. Not yet. I didn't get it, but I'm getting it soon. Them
joints sold out.
They sold out already?
Man, I think them things was online for like 15 minutes. I think they sold out in less than a half an hour.
You don't need to rush to get it. It's gonna be there because it's gonna be warm anyway soon. So they're gonna be selling them all year long.
Yeah, I want to get one for my wife because my wife's maiden name is Love. Her family name is Love, so she want one. So I'm definitely gonna get one from her, man. So
yeah.
But we're gonna get up out of here, man. There's gonna be a little bit more Combine content. Tone's coming back tonight at 5. Check me out on Tuesday at 6 with Dave Spadaro, man. We're going to keep doing this thing. We're going to keep rocking it out, man. So,
love y'all.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Markus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the broad street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Blind guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle, soaring in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Hoodie squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle, soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always stand